Hello every pony, I am Critical Thought and welcome to my review of On Your Marks. This is the first CMC focused episode since the holy grail of CMC episodes, Crusaders of the Lost Mark, and aims to pick up where that episode left off. Dave Polsky and Josh Haber have teamed up to bring us this new episode, and with their combined powers, I'm sure we are in for a treat. So let's strap in and check out On Your Marks. We begin this episode in the CMC's clubhouse for the first post-Cutie Mark meeting of the CMC, where the girls are mostly just staring at their new cutie marks, being infatuated with them. Apple Bloom realizes, though, that they can't just stare at their cutie marks for the rest of their lives, so they try to think of some things to do. This yields a pretty great scene of comedy where the CMC do some yodeling and square dancing. Theme. After a quick montage full of callbacks to many different episodes showing the CMC's adventures together, the Phillies realize that practically all the things they did before as the Cutie Mark Crusaders were merely activities that they hoped would net them their cutie marks. Now that they have them, they wonder what the role of the Cutie Mark Crusaders should be, until Apple Bloom realizes that they should focus in applying their talents that got them their cutie marks in the first place, helping other ponies discover or rediscover their destinies. The CMC then journey all around Ponyville to try and find a pony with a cutie mark problem. You know, apart from the character of Twilight being the main focus, this episode is so far hitting a lot of the same story beats of Lesson Zero. Of course, since the CMC are the main focus of this episode, it's not playing out exactly the same way as it did in Lesson Zero, because Twilight's character kinda drove the plot of that episode forward in the direction that it went. However, while the two episodes do branch off from each other in different directions later, the first few minutes of this episode can almost be applied one-to-one story-wise with Lesson Zero. Just replace the cutie mark problem with a friendship problem. Also, I have to point out this new score by Will Anderson and Stephen Andrews here. It feels like a spiritual successor of sorts to the Cutie Mark Crusaders' original theme back from Season 1, and that was one of my absolute favorite pieces of background music ever featured in the show. I still think the original score was better, but this new CMC theme for Season 6 ain't that bad either. It may just take some getting used to. Also, cute pony alert in Sector D! The D stands for Daw. Have we given her a name yet, bronies? Let me check Derpy Baru and... Minty Bubblegum? It's not bad, I just think she deserves better. How about Bubblegum Burst? Yeah, I like that. It's got a nice ring to it. To hell with the Fenin! I create my own rules! The CMC are upset that they can't find anyone around town to help, worrying that if they can't put their special talent to use, then they won't really be all that special. That is, until Bog Biceps tells them that he has a cutie mark problem of his own. Bog Biceps tells the CMC in their clubhouse that his cutie mark is a dumbbell, and that his special talent is lifting them. But he has already lifted every single dumbbell in Ponyville, and now he doesn't know what to do with himself. I'm so glad that Michael Dobson got to say a bit more than his stereotypical "yeah" in this episode. He's a great VA, and when he attended BronyCon last year, he seemed the most thrilled to be there, and was the life of the party among the cast of VAs in attendance. The Phillies suggest that he try lifting other stuff, or that he teach other ponies to lift stuff, effectively solving his problem, but much sooner than they anticipated. This makes them worried that since they are so good at solving cutie mark problems, they will solve them so quickly it'll be like they never happened. I don't know why the CMC made a Venn diagram to show their current problem at hand. The issues don't really have any commonalities with each other, so why a Venn diagram? I could see just drawing pictures to represent the problem, but this diagram is really weird and out of place. Apple Bloom suggests that they expand their search for cutie mark problems to the entire land of Equestria, but Scoots and Sweetie don't think that's a realistic option, and suggest that they just do stuff together just for fun. However, each CMC member has something different in mind when it comes for an activity to do together. Scoots decides to have the CMC scooter down a track she has constructed around Sweet Apple Acres.
Ready? Stop! Hit! And go! Ta-da!
That was awesome! Scootaloo is still best pony!
Oh, hey, Inner Fanboy. Haven't seen you since Crusaders of the Lost Mark. What have you been up to?
Basically recovering from that episode. I've been crying tears of joy over it for the past 4.5 months.
Oh, you feeling better now, though?
Yep, I'm happy to be back.
You know, I still kind of think you're annoying, but I kind of missed having you around. Glad you're back, bro. Wow, Zecora renovated. It looks nice. I like it. After many failed ideas, the CMC can't seem to find anything they all enjoyed doing together. Scoots wants to bungee jump and Sweetie wants to try crochet, but Applebloom isn't interested in either of those ideas. It's then that Scootaloo suggests the crazy idea that they don't do everything together and just pursue their own individual interests from time to time. It becomes clear pretty quickly that Applebloom would rather be doing things with her friends than doing something alone, but after Sweetie and Scoots leave the clubhouse to pursue their own desires, Applebloom is forced to find something to do alone. This leads us into the first song of Season 6, a solo song by Michelle Krieber entitled Out on My Own, detailing how lonely she feels doing things without her friends. I have to give credit where it's due. Michelle Krieber's performance on this song is phenomenal. It really shows off her immense vocal range in ways we've only really seen before in her work outside of the show and her own music, as well as with artists such as Black Griffin. It's also a song that is fun to sing along to due to the above-average melody. I really enjoy the visuals with this song as well, especially the scene in the art studio that gives many nods to famous artists, including Da Vinci, Picasso, Dali, and Warhol. However, that's not to say that this piece is perfect. My first problem with it doesn't really have anything to do with the song itself, but the timing in which it aired. I was fully anticipating the first song of Season 6 to be cheerful, upbeat, and one that was full of energy and fun. I expected it to be something I'd be eager to listen to over and over again, and one that I'd be anxious to see remixed by the fandom. But this song is far too sad and depressing for that. My second problem with it has to do with how it doesn't really fit well with the situation. Sad songs in MLP aren't really that bad, and they can often be some of the most fun ones to sing along to, but they only really positively impact the narrative when they are being used sparingly, and solely in instances of complete and utter anguish. A sad song shouldn't be used to try to make the audience feel sad for a particular character. They should complement a character whom the audience already feels sad for. That's not to say that a song shouldn't have been used here, as I think it was a very appropriate and fun way to cover a lot of exposition in a short amount of time, as with most songs in MLP. I just think they went a little too somber with this one. I think this would have been a better musical number had they mimicked the style of Twilight's Failure Success ballad from the Season 3 premiere. That song was able to handle a sad subject matter while still remaining somewhat upbeat and enjoyable. Out on My Own, ironically, is fantastic on its own as a song, but as a complement to this episode, it's not all that great. After her song, Applebloom notices a ballet studio and is relieved to find something she can do without her friends that she doesn't have to do entirely alone. She tries her hoof at dancing with the class, but doesn't do a very good job at it. Heartbroken, Applebloom leaves the class. Just then, one of the students from the class, a shy cult named Tendertaps, rushes up to Applebloom to try to make her feel better. Side note, I ship it. Applebloom is so upset that she doesn't even really listen to Tendertap's stage fright problem, which is likely preventing him from getting his cutie mark.
You are not gonna believe this, but I think I like bungee jumping even more than scootering. Seriously?
Ah, there's the adorable squeaky bell we all love. Yep, Claire Corlett still got it. The two fillies enter the clubhouse to find Applebloom alone in the dark. She soon gets mad at Scoots and Sweetie, showing how many things she's tried to enjoy doing on her own, ultimately saying how she's not happy that the girls aren't hanging out together anymore. However, Applebloom soon finds out that's not what her friends intended when they suggested doing things alone. Scoots says that they merely didn't have to do everything together. Sweetie is amazed that Apple Bloom tried so many things and couldn't find anything she liked. Although Apple Bloom brings up dancing here, mentioning how it was kind of fun but wasn't something she was good at, and Sweetie teaches a pretty good lesson that you don't have to be good at something to enjoy doing it, which is something I highly agree with as a noob amongst Brony reviewers and analysts. There is one major plot hole that rips this episode to shreds when you uncover it. Apple Bloom enjoyed potion making when she was doing it with her friends earlier. Why wouldn't she enjoy it alone? It may have been a plot hole that was necessary to drive the moral and the episode forward, but that doesn't excuse it from existing. This is definitely going to play a huge role in how I rate this episode. Apple Bloom then tells her friends about Tender Taps. The CMC quickly realize that he has a cutie mark problem, and they rush to the dance class's recital to help him overcome his stage fright. With the skills Scoots and Sweetie had acquired on their own, and Apple Bloom's poor dancing, the girls eventually help get Tender Taps out on stage to perform. After Apple Bloom utterly fails on stage, she uses that failure as encouragement for Tender Taps, telling him he can't do worse than she did. Once Tender Taps starts focusing on dancing, he lets loose and gives an amazing performance straight from his heart, which is met with thunderous applause. After his dance, Tender Taps fully realizes his destiny and his cutie mark finally appears. We close out this episode with the CMC realizing how doing things on their own will make them 3 times more likely to not only find things they are interested in, but also 3 times more likely to find ponies with cutie mark problems for them to solve. So, what did I think of On Your Marks? It is certainly better than the last episode, and the new song was easily one of the biggest highlights. The comedy was pretty good, and we got some interesting new characters to speculate on and expand in the fandom as well. However, while this isn't the worst CMC episode, it's certainly not the best either. Well, then again, I don't think any episode is ever going to top Crusaders of the Lost Mark, as that episode raised the bar so much that it's going to be mighty difficult for the writers to make a CMC episode that's anywhere near as good as that one. This one is not even a contender for that title, though. The song, while being a really well-made one, is a double-edged sword that ultimately hurts this episode's enjoyability for me, and the plot hole is so glaring I can't help but see it every time I watch this episode. I really wanted to like this one, I really did, but the story just wasn't engaging enough, and what this episode does screw up on, the few mistakes that there are so enormous that they eclipse the many good things going for this episode. I wanted to rate it higher, but I can't really justify anything else but a skip it rating. My biggest concern, however, is that now that the CMC have their cutie marks, their potential for great storytelling will fade, and future CMC episodes will be as bad or even worse than this one. I really, really pray that doesn't happen, as you all know that Scootaloo is my favorite pony of all time. But I guess only time will tell. As always, I am Critical Thought, and I will see you all in my next video. Never stop thinking critically.